Welcome back to the CMO Summit. Before we get going with the next helping of inspiring content, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping us bring this event to your screens. And don't forget to visit our website where you can access even more content and check out our in-person events. We could be coming to a city near you. Enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the CMO Summit. Pleased to introduce our next session of the day, which is from very own Airmeet CMO, Mark Killens. He's going to be doing a session for us on the Great Uniter and how CMOs must unite the C-suite to unlock growth. So I'd like to welcome Mark back onto the stage and hand over to you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hey everyone, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're enjoying the Airmeet experience. Thanks for coming today. Let me just pull up my slides. I got like a couple slides to go through with you today. I'm super excited about this conversation we'll have all about how CMOs can really help unite the C-suite. I joined Airmeet about 7 months ago now at this point. And before Airmeet, I was at a company named Drift. I was the VP of Content and Community. I was there for about 3.5 years. Dominique, how you doing? Appreciate it. Give you a thumbs up for that. And before Drift, I was at HubSpot. Did a few things at HubSpot, but I guess you could say my claim to fame was I was the creator of HubSpot Academy. So if you've checked that out, I hope you've enjoyed it. And today, what I've learned, I guess you could say, over the last 15 years, and what I've seen from the great CMOs, Mike Volpe, Kip, Bodner. I had 2 amazing CMOs at my time at Drift that I got to work directly with. What I've learned is the great ones really help unite the C-suite to unlock this future growth, this potential in growth. So I'm going to give you several secrets, several best practices from my time at these companies and what I'm doing right now at Airmeet to help Airmeet do the exact same thing. So let's go right into it. So I'm going to ask you a question to kick it off. Who should drive go-to-market today? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it customer success? Is it the CEO? Or should it be all of the above? I want to know your answer in the chat, please. So who should lead the go-to-market strategy at a company? It could be maybe none of these. Type something in. Gemma says all of the above. What do we got? Tara says the CEO. Who else? Who should be go-to-market today? This is a very hot topic. It's also a very debated topic. Marketing and the CEO, product marketing, says Emily. I love these answers. This is so interesting, right? So we all have maybe slightly different opinion on this. My point of view is it's the CEO. The CEO is ultimately responsible for the success of the business, and she or he should be driving the overall strategy, making the decisions at the highest of levels in terms of how the business wants to go to market. Coming out strong with this question, Mark. Yeah, I am product engineering. So that's good. That's a good point, Jennifer. It's like, how does product and engineering get involved in this? Yeah, true. But my belief is the CEO should be really driving go-to-market. But should the CEO be Rudolph? Should the CEO be Rudolph? And what do I mean by Rudolph? Right? You Santa, right? I would view the CEO as Santa, in fact. And in this metaphor, I believe marketing, the CMO, is Rudolph. So the CMO is ultimately the one who's going to have to unite all of the other executives across product, engineering, other teams, sales, of course, CS, and help the CEO drive the decisions and the high-level strategy that the business is trying to implement over the next 6 to 12 months, but then also over the next 2, 3, 5 years. So yeah, this is definitely controversial. I definitely want to talk about this with you all today. And I really believe that the CMO should be 100% focused on not marketing value anymore. It's not just about marketing value. The great CMOs are focused on enterprise value. How do I increase the enterprise value of the organization? And we've talked about the difference between a VP of marketing and a CMO, I'm sure today. And what I think is even the great CMOs are now focused on, of course, pipeline and revenue, but it's beyond that. How do we even think about the long-term value of the organization in the decisions we make and the collaboration that needs to be had? So I'm going to share with you, again, many different ways you can drive more enterprise value as a CMO today under the leadership of the CEO. And this is just some data to back up my, you could say, opinions on this. This comes from McKinsey. So McKinsey found that, out of the study they did, it was a lot of C-level people, C-level CMOs, that is. They found that they call it the unifier. 24% of those people they interviewed out of those CMOs had this strong relationship with the other C-suite players. They were acting as Rudolph. And then they found 27% had this limited focus with the C-suite. It was good, but it wasn't great. And then they found half with just a friend. They had a good relationship with the CEO, but it was limited when it came to sales, customer experience, and other teams. So this shows me there's a huge opportunity when it comes to this in your organization, if you're a CMO listening, to really step up and be the uniter, be the one that unifies the organization. Now the question is, like, what should you unite? So let's present it back to the audience. Out of these 5 things, the market we shape, the audience we target, the point of view we tell, the positioning of what we offer, the packaging and pricing of what we sell, is there one that's standing out to you? And I'll give you a story as you think about that question. So when I joined AirMeet about 7 months ago to the day, the company just raised its Series B, and it was very clear the company had product fit. The product was exceptional, 6,500 customers across the globe, just growing crazy. What it was clear it did not have was product market fit, because retention wasn't the best. And you could say, well, that was some of COVID, whatever. To me, it was all about, we were just validating, do people love this product, and does it provide people with value? But which people does it provide the most value to? And so that's kind of the audience we were targeting now. We're trying to figure that out, the point of view we would tell to that audience. But beyond that, what we really wanted to do was we wanted to shape the market that we're in, which is event management, event tech. And we said, me and the CEO, we need to come up with a new way to talk about events in the market. And that led us to creating event-led growth. And we'll talk more about this in the presentation when it comes to positioning. But I really believe that the CMOs these days that are truly the uniters are focused on shaping the market, really focused on helping everyone understand the audience we're going after, the story and point of view we're telling in the market, the positioning, and the pricing and packaging, which is also controversial. Pricing and packaging, should that be part of this? So I would love to know, like, what do we have? I think everyone can influence and contribute to what go-to-market looks like. Everyone should. Everyone definitely should. Marketing needs to have a seat at the boardroom. 100% agree. Marketing can also help shape the company culture via internal marketing. That's a great point. I actually should add that, Jennifer, to this, and we'll take that as a note. They should definitely unite the internal culture of the company as well. I love that. So I'll give that a thumbs up right now. So let's keep going on, though. Let's start to get into the meat and potatoes of this. So a CMO who unites, it boils down, in my opinion, to 4 things. The CEO is aligned to your success as the CMO. You are a brand advocate and understand the long-term marketing investments that are needed to be made today and in the future to ultimately achieve the businesses, the CEO's company's objectives. You understand those deeply. So at the simplest way, you understand what it's going to take to generate new revenue today and retain that revenue in the future. It's definitely both. You help drive the business strategy, and you oversee the complete customer experience and lifecycle. So how do you do this? I'm going to break down the next 20 minutes of this presentation into 3 things: prioritizing, positioning, and packaging. It's funny how, like, a lot of things we do in marketing kind of fall down into these P's, right? Like, you have the traditional 4 P's. I tweaked that for this presentation to have these 3, positioning still being very important. But I truly believe that when you're thinking about uniting an organization, you need to prioritize number 1, you need to position number 2, and you need to package number 3. So let's go into each of these right now. So talk about positioning. It's all about the market, right? In the traditional sense, you think, all right, the CMO along with the CRO is going to help you capture the market, right? The great ones help you grow the market. The exceptional ones, going back to my story around AirMeet, and I can tell the HubSpot story, the Drift story, help shape the market. It's a transformational story. They help change the minds of people in that market today. And they do that through very powerful storytelling and through a lot of other things, through community building, right? Through a lot of great education, content, but they're truly shaping a market and helping markets evolve. And ultimately, that's where the largest enterprise value can be unlocked, is when you help shape markets, not just capture a market and grow one. It's when you do all three things first and foremost by shaping it. So how do you shape a market? We'll get into that right now. First, you got to prioritize what market you're shaping. And a lot of people think, well, I'm going to use TAM, total addressable market, and use that as my North Star to go after. I bet a lot of you folks know that that's not a good idea, right? And like that definitely is not a good idea. It's way too broad, way too unspecific. What I'd recommend you do is you focus on either total relevant market, or another way to put it, serviceable, obtainable market. And so what does that mean? When we break these two ideas down, what does this really mean? This means account fit. So let's give an example. So we're going after a really big $1 trillion+ market at Airmeet. We're going after event management, event technology. It is a $1 trillion+ market when you look at it across B2B and B2C. It's growing at 15 to 20% annually. But like, that's way too big of a market for us to just go after and try to shape. We need to pick a specific addressable market in that. And if I go back one slide, we need to look at within that addressable market of $1 trillion, what's the relevant or obtainable market? So this is what a great CMO helps unite the company around, and helps the entire company, from product engineering, sales, CS, everyone, understand why these specific this specific market was selected, and what types of businesses are we going after once we select it. And a lot of people might say, like, all right, now we're getting into account-based marketing. And I think we kind of are at this point, because it's about picking the accounts when you've identified your market, and within that market, identifying your ideal customer profile and those accounts in that market. And what we do is we grade them based off of A, B, C, D, and E. So we're going to get to this more a little bit later in like a few minutes. But at the end of the day, what you want to really think about, along with your CEO and CRO, is what are the dimensions that make up a grade A, B, C, D, E account, and how can you score, pre-qualify the fit of those accounts. And then once you have the account thing mastered, and you've said, all right, we're going to prioritize this market, we're going to prioritize this relevant market, and we're going to prioritize these accounts in this market, you can start to calculate your actual relevant market, right? Your SOM, your obtainable market, by taking a look at the number of accounts and multiplying that based off of your annual contract value, your ACV, or your total contract value, your TCV. And then it's about the who. Some people say, well, you gotta focus on the who first. I think you have to do both at the same time. And the who is the traditional sense of like buying personas. But before that, what I really think you do, especially if you sell to the mid-market and enterprise, you and the CEO and other people, you need to think about three things: buying unit, buying teams, and buying personas. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go back to the Airmeet example. So we theoretically sell into 4 different buying units. The 2 most common buying units we sell into are either marketing or the human resource team. Marketing using us for mostly external events, human resources using us for internal events like company kickoffs, sales kickoffs, quarterly company events, etc., trainings. Within a buying unit, depending on how big the company is, the account, you could have multiple teams that might end up purchasing Airmeet. You might have on the marketing side, if we use the marketing buying unit as an example, you might have the brand team, or you might have the events team, or the revenue marketing team, or it's multiple teams. And then within those teams, you start to understand the personas that are actually important to influence the decision makers, the economic buyers that are in those teams that make up that buying unit. So I want to give you this framework, because once you know the account fit and you pre-qualify them on that side, now it's about understanding the intent of those buyers. And at this stage, a great CMO is going to help the company understand how to measure buying intent or purchasing intent. And you can think of it as the classic awareness, consideration, decision. It should be beyond this. I should have made the bow tie funnel, right? It's definitely past just decision. When you think about customer adoption and expansion, it's the whole thing. Like I said, the life cycle. But you always want to be figuring out now, how do I, in a scientific and non-scientific way, understand buyer intent? Because no one wants to be qualified anymore, right? You can do the qualification through the account stuff you're doing. Now it's about buying intent. And I really like to use this model when thinking about prioritizing the accounts and the buying units and teams and personas in those accounts to go after. So take a screenshot of this, feel free. So it's about which accounts and which buyers do we go after from an inbound and an outbound standpoint. So on the y-axis, you have the grade of accounts, A being the best account, B, C, D, E. And again, you have to create some type of scoring dimension to grade those accounts. Send me a LinkedIn message if you want some best practices on that. And on the x-axis, I should say, there's buying intent. And this is like lead scoring in a traditional sense. It's behavior scoring. There's a lot of AI tools that help this now with both these things, in fact. And what you're trying to do is not go after everyone, even within your total relevant market. You're trying to go after the people that are in market, that are showing that intent, that are giving you signals that, hey, if you ignore them, one of your competitors is probably going to swoop in and take that business from you. So this is, again, an exercise in focus, because one of the most important things a chief marketing officer can do these days is help the company focus more. I'll say that one more time. One of the most important things a chief marketing officer can do these days is help the company focus. The second thing is positioning levels. So we just talked about prioritization. Now we're going to talk about positioning. Need some more caffeine. It's like 3:30 Eastern today. I'm happy to get you these slides. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Jennifer, preach. Okay. So I love positioning. I'm a content marketer, product marketer at heart. I always say that the best content marketers and product marketers are like one and the same, right? The great content marketers are product marketers, great product marketers are content marketers. Anyway, I digress. Now it's about, how do you land a plane? Like, think about how you land a plane when you're flying in an airplane. The plane doesn't go from 30,000 feet to the runway in 5 or 10 minutes. It takes 45 minutes. If you're paying attention, it's about 45 minutes before touchdown, the plane starts to descend. So imagine that same thing when you're thinking about, how do you land a new customer? Are you going to just land a customer within a couple days, a couple weeks? Maybe. That'd be the ideal situation. But we know for most businesses in B2B, that doesn't happen. And even in B2C, it typically doesn't happen. Even if it's transactional, right? You're not going to just be unless it's ultra transactional, like you're buying a pack of gum because I have bad breath. I need a solution. I could do a mint, toothpaste, gum. I'm going to buy gum, and that's a 5-minute transaction. Maybe, but you were still influenced, right, by what type of gum you would buy at the end of the day, the product and the feature of that gum, maybe. So what I'm getting at here is, when you think about your positioning, you want to really map out. The CMO needs to map out for the whole company. What's the brand story, the solution story, the product story, the feature, and value? So for Airmeet, let me just use this example. The brand joined together. Our highest way you could articulate the value that we deliver to people is join together. We help people join together. We think about HubSpot. What is HubSpot's? Grow better. What is Nike's? Just do it. Right? The synopsis of everything that you do can be distilled down into 2 or 3 words typically, right? And the value that you provide at its most core, first principle level. And then from there, you build up the story of the brand, right? Like the founding story, how has it evolved? How does it tie into that total market, to the relevant market, to the buyers? That's when you start to get into solution. And solution positioning is interesting, because I think there's 2 ways to think about solution positioning. There is the product way, and then there's a non-product way, right? So you can think about HubSpot early days. Inbound marketing was the non-product solution category that was created. What was the product category? Any guesses? What was the product category? It was a CMS and blog in the very, very early days. After that, it was marketing automation. After that, it was CRM, and it just became inbound. All right, so there's 2 different solutions. At Airmeet, it's event-led growth, but that's not the technology. The technology is event management, event technology, right? Event management platforms, right? That's the product. So just want to point that out, because I think people conflate when you think about the category of a solution for a product versus the category of a solution when it comes to a non-product standpoint, which gets you into the 3rd level, which is the product. Or if you have a platform, I think platforms are overused in terms of people saying we have a platform. I think most people have a suite. At Airmeet, very transparent, we have a suite. We have a suite of things called the Event Experience Cloud that then pulls you into our products, that then pulls you into our features. And then from all of those things, when you land the plane, you're talking about value. Your customers are helping you land the plane. The ROI that you deliver to your customers at the end of the day should like seal the deal. And guess what? That value positioning should go all the way back to the very top when it comes to brand positioning. Because like if you say, look, we're going to help you drive more revenue and customer loyalty by getting people to join together, and here's how we can quantify that, you just landed that plane. Use cases, 100%. Use cases are great at that zero. Use cases, customer stories, testimonials, super important, right? That's ultimately like critical, right? And you think about like getting further down the funnel. So that's the positioning levels. A lot to unpack there. Let's keep going though. There's a red thread that has to go through that. Anyone guess the red thread that I just mentioned? I just mentioned it a few times. What's the red thread? What's the red thread? It's the ultimate value that you deliver. So here's how you can think about the red thread. So we came up with Join Together through the idea of what is AirMeet's ultimate vision? What's the ultimate vision? So our vision is a world where people can join together and meaningfully connect from anywhere. Join together and meaningfully connect from anywhere. So if you distill that down into 2 words, it's join together. That's our tagline, right? And then through this vision, it starts with the vision, in my opinion. Sometimes you say mission, then vision, whatever. You pull this all the way through. This is just an example of the brand level positioning framework I've used, but you pull this all the way through from brand to solution to product to feature to customer stories to value. So if you want to know the how to do this, I have tons of templates and resources on this that I used at Drift and AirMeet. Shoot me a note on LinkedIn and I can give you some of those resources. Happy to. And by the way, folks, if you have questions, shoot them in the chat. I'm happy to answer the questions. We have plenty of time. Because we're at the third point, the third way CMOs can unite the C-suite. We talked about prioritization, prioritizing things. We talked about positioning, right? To match the positioning to the audience. And now it's about pricing and packaging, everyone's favorite topic. I actually love pricing and packaging. And here's some of the points I would suggest when you think about pricing and packaging. I learned this from my last 3 companies. I have the ownership of pricing and packaging in AirMeet. It's a big responsibility. And some people don't agree with that. I did a LinkedIn poll the other day, and I think it was around 60% of people said, yes, marketing should own pricing and packaging. 40% said they should not. But there was no clear leader and who should own it, even on the marketing team. Most people said product marketing, CMO, but I'm curious if, what you think, like who should own pricing and packaging? CEO, CMO, sales, product? Let me know. So customer value should always take priority when you're doing pricing and packaging. What do I mean by customer value? Join together. What's the thing that provides the most value when it comes to events? The attendees, the participants. The ironic thing, I'm just using this example throughout the deck because it's just relevant. The ironic thing is when you look at competition to AirMeet, everyone prices and gets registration, which makes no sense. Why would I be charged for trying to have someone register for my event versus attend? No, we charge based off of attendees. So we just made that change. HubSpot, early days. What was HubSpot's main thing that they help companies do? Drive leads. We charged based off of contacts in the system. That's evolved these days. It's still very fundamental to HubSpot, but at the end of the day, like it's your contacts are valuable to you, right? And we at HubSpot will help you drive more of those. Simplicity is everything. This is where most people struggle the most. I don't know why. I think it's just you have to have a mindset going into it, and you have to be testing it over and over again with customers before you launch it to say, how simple is this? If you can get a Forrester or Gartner analyst to understand your pricing and packaging within 15 to 30 seconds, you've done a good job. That was my litmus test. I actually did that with Forrester, and he said I could understand this he said 10 seconds he could understand it. Direct quote. So simplicity is everything. Align to your belief system. Goes back to the red thread. Is it aligned or is it not? If it's not aligned, it's kind of like BS then. Multi-axis is ideal, right? Giving you and people the ability to buy more over time. I also say when you think about multi-axis, I should have put this on the slide. Usage is ideal. Aligning it to usage is very important. You use more, great, more value, you'll pay a little bit more, right? It's the give, get, give. And then net dollar retention is the end of the game. So when you think about your pricing and packaging, always think about how is this going to influence net dollar retention in the first year, second year, and third year. And you have to sometimes model that out. So how do people think about pricing and packaging? Well, there's a few different ways they think about pricing and packaging. The head of finance is like, we want to make money. What's the gross margin look like? What are these? How is this going to affect our cost of goods sold? Maybe let's make money. Head of sales, let's keep sales velocity high. I want sales velocity to be high. Are you kidding me? Enterprise value over marketing value. Head of product, let's make the product shine. Of course, let's definitely do that. Head of customer success, let's make it about customer value. Yes. So if you can align and unite these teams around these four things, you're golden. What's most important, though, is getting them all together to understand what truly drives them. And if something is misaligned with these drivers, and they probably share some of these, that's fine. But if you don't actively work together and have marketing lead this, I think unintended consequences can happen because one person might over optimize for someone else. As you can see, I did not put marketing on this slide. Marketing does not exist on this slide. It shouldn't. Marketing should be neutral. Marketing should be solving for the customer, not for anything else. So when you do this, right, when you take the pricing and the packaging and the positioning, you put value in the center. And that's a tricky part with all of this, right? Marketing, at HubSpot, we used to have Brian and Dharmesh would bring in a literal doll. Put this doll, it was Marketing Mary. I think they called her Molly, actually. But she would be in the room in a chair sometimes to make sure you never forgot about the customer. That vivid, if you will, right? It's fun, whatever, funny thing to do. But hey, that's how much, HubSpot, Arameet, believe that when you align pricing, packaging, positioning, you solve for the customer, you're ultimately aligning around value. So I'll give you one more tip and now we're wrapping up. So the pro tip with pricing is to future-proof it. Trust me, your future self pricing and packaging, think more long-term. You don't changing your pricing and packaging every 6 months or even maybe every 12 months. You want to be thinking about, hey, if we're going to launch a new product, if we're going to add this thing, add this feature, how will this fit into the scheme of the new pricing and packaging? The more pricing and packaging changes you make, the worse it is for you, your customers. There's a lot of debt that gets created. Trust me, you try to future-proof it as much as you can. So one more secret before we wrap up. I have 2 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up right on time unless there's any major questions. The secret to earning respect faster. Can anyone guess the secret to how a CMO can earn respect super fast within the C-suite? Any guesses on this? No guesses? Yeah, if you want the slides, folks, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn or Twitter. Happy to send them over. Any guesses? No guesses, really. No one wants to be brave? Tied to revenue? Yes, it is tied to revenue. Yes. Budget rigor is everything. So you might be asking yourself, Mark, how is that tied to revenue? Like Tara's like, it's tied to revenue. I'm going to give that a thumbs up. Well, it's this. So what you can do, if you have great budget rigor and you're solving for enterprise value, especially in today's climate, this is what you should be presenting to the board. And I was lucky enough to present a chart just like this to the board a few weeks ago, thanks to my great marketing team. But you can see in orange, it was the total marketing investment we spent each quarter, including people, technology, programmatic, everything, all in marketing acquisition costs, not sales, because CAC is both, but marketing cost. And then that was the amount of closed new business revenue we generated each quarter. And look, it went down a little bit because we were readjusting, but then it went right back up, right between 1Q and 3Q in terms of revenue. But we saved a ton of money and became way more efficient. So this is ultimately what you're trying to do. So this is kind of unrelated to the Uniter, but if you can show this to the board, to your executive peers, you will have earned a lot of respect. And it's only going to make your job that much easier. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any questions, let me know. Mark.killens@arameet.com. Hope you enjoyed the content, and hope you enjoyed AirMeet. Hope to talk again soon. Bye.
Thanks, Mark. That was great timing. Looks like everyone enjoyed it in the chat and is super keen for the slides. So yeah, as Mark said, reach out to him on LinkedIn and he can share those with you. But thank you so much. It was a great presentation. Lots of great takeaways. And thank you to everyone for tuning in and your questions and contribution in the chat. We've got a couple more sessions left today, so stay with us. Keep engaging in the chat. Join us on the Slack channel. And I hope to see you in 15 minutes time at our next session. Thanks, everyone.